You've been credited by bringing the ESPN brand to new audiences, right? You talk about you're at this place of, sports and music and culture, and you've done some, your contribution to some really cool campaigns that we know of. Are You Ready? Monday Night Football, that was a great one, which I watched again today, brought me back. But this interest in bringing music and connecting ESPN or deepening their roots in the music space. What was that about? Because it's like that was an area you went down and successfully.
Yes. I think one of the things that's really important from a marketing perspective is like great ideas are always based off simple insights, right? And one of the sort of key insights on just sports in general and whether you're thinking about the intersection of, football and music or basketball and music is that there's a huge crossover between music and sports fans. So like, I think we did some like research a bunch of years ago, like the insight was like, 60 or 70% of like football fans are super music fans. Right. So like that alone was like this idea of like music could be a great hook to bring more people in where you're not always having to talk about the stats and like what happened in last night's game. Like you can talk about it in a much more sort of meet that fan and that consumer on their terms. Second, the idea is like athletes want to be musicians, musicians want to be athletes. So it's just this like natural kind of cultural like crossover that, ESPN has every right to play in that and like be a facilitator for that type of conversation. What I wanted to do was like pretty simple. It was like leverage, not necessarily think of sports as a sports platform. Think about sports as a music platform that just happens to have sports, right? And which ultimately then opens you up to like doing, I think, a lot of like really interesting things and like bringing music and having a music conversation in a way that you might not necessarily have if you're just like looking at sports just from one perspective alone.
There was this Hallmark collaboration you were involved in with this first ever exclusive deal with Interscope Records, right, to promote college football. What did you learn in that connection and partnership with Interscope? What happened as a result of working with these artists like Diplo and DJ Khaled and Drake for Monday Night Football? What did you learn there? What was it like? Take us inside some of those conversations and some of the things that happened there.
Yeah, Interscope has been a great partner. Awesome relationship with, folks like Steve Berman and Dave Neiman. And I think the thought at the end, like at that point in time is like, a lot of times in marketing, like what we'll do is like if we're promoting a game, like you'll license a song, right? And like it's just like a cool background track to like promote the game. But what you can do by going deeper and by sort of partnering like more deeply and closer with the label and the artist is that it unlocks so much more, right? So like the whole idea of the Interscope partnership at the time was instead of just like thinking about, all right, like we'll just take your song and like we'll run it. It's like, why couldn't we sort of put this whole like marketing engine on top of what we're doing, right? Why can't we like get the artist to post on their social? Why can't we get the label to like really fully support? Why couldn't we bring this whole conversation and reach all these people that we're not necessarily reaching, just having a sports conversation and bring them into the fold? And so that was the whole like merit of it. It's like, you know what? Music offers us the opportunity to have a deeper partnership, and having a deeper partnership, both parties are super invested. And both parties are super invested. That then means we can sort of do more from a marketing perspective. We can unlock a lot more of the sort of channels that wouldn't necessarily be available. And that was like a really awesome playbook for us in the sense of, oh, now like music could be like a lever for like a marketing channel, right? In terms of how we bring more consumers and how we get like a publication like Billboard talking about college football, or how we get, all these other places that might not necessarily sort of, be thinking this sport at the time, be like, oh, wow, this is a thing.
Wow. Incredible. The other thing I know you were heavily involved in was the first ever college football playoff national championship halftime show, right? Which was another big, historic event. There was a big initiative with Kendrick Lamar, who is one of my favorites. So shout out to Kendrick. We'll have him on the show one day. But so just things, monumental moves that I think, again, now you can see the utility of that in other arenas and more games, more experiences, right? I mean, that was a big move, the college halftime show.
Yeah, like I think, for us, the way we've thought about the college football playoff is like we want to make it a Super Bowl type caliber event, right? We don't look at it as just a college football event or a sports event. Like we look at it as this like kind of cultural event. And once you start to put that type of perspective on it, is then you're starting to now bring in different pieces to the conversation. And for us, the national championship game, and like, look, a ton of credit to the NFL and how they've like, done it on the Super Bowl side is like, I think one of the coolest insights we found is like, the highest rated like point of the Super Bowl is halftime, right? Like where you have all these people coming in to sort of see the act. And, one of the areas for us was like, we should take a look at that from a national championship perspective and like use a big moment like music to like not only bring more people and more sort of diverse groups of people at the start of the game, but also kind of like, really sort of bring a ton of people to halftime and create this like huge conversation. And the other thing too for us at the time on the college football side, it was like, how do we now innovate in the space, right? And one of the cool things about it is like, one, we did it outside, right? Like in the park, where it was a free concert and like college kids wearing their like, school colors came through. Two, it was the first time I think anyone had done hip hop and a solo act, right? At a game where like 28 million people show up. So it was just like this idea, and we partnered with Interscope on it, and like a ton of credit to Interscope and Kendrick's people. And, it was pretty special. And I think the other thing for us is we thought about, making this a cultural event. Like Kendrick at the time was doing the soundtrack for Black Panther, right? So we also brought that Black Panther connection in. Like I think we ran like a trailer right after the concert, which was like this moment, right? So not only are you having Kendrick, hip hop, outside, national championship, big fields, like big movie aspect on top of it. Like just all of a sudden it starts to put like an event like that, making it a cultural temple versus just a sports temple or a college football temple.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This segment is brought to you by Salesforce. Salesforce brings marketing and engagement together. If you want to learn more, head over to salesforce.com/marketing. And please subscribe to this channel for more marketing insights from the world's best marketing leaders across the Fortune 500 and beyond.